Hi and welcome. This is my very first YouTube video for my very first and probably only YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I had to hide from the landscaper guy, yard guy, because I am right in front of my window. My window is right behind y'all, and there's no way he won't be able to see me. So if you see me ducking or whatever, I'm hiding. So anyway, welcome. I am so happy that you are here, and it is only because of God that you clicked on this video, literally, since it's my first video. So if you clicked on this, please sit and listen, because I truly believe there is something that you need to hear from this video today. God has a message through me, and it's going to be my testimony. So I hope and pray that this serves you well and that you enjoy. But let me start off with me. So my name is Brianna, but you can call me Bree. And I'm nervous, but I'm excited at the same time. I hope y'all can hear me well. Let me double check. Okay, so I fixed it, so now y'all can hear me a little bit more clearly. But yeah, let's get into this video. I don't like, though, that I'm looking at myself and not at y'all, because now I'm looking at y'all. Does it really bother y'all if I'm looking at me, though? Let me see. Okay, I'm going to try my best to stay looking at y'all and not at me. So we're going to figure this out. So let's start from the beginning. Gotta get more comfortable. I had another pillow here. There. Okay. Fix myself a little bit more. There. Okay, now let's get actually into the video. Okay, so I grew up raised in a Catholic household with both my parents and one older sister that is 10 years older than me. Growing up, my parents taught me from a very young age, like I don't know if I want to say my foundation on God was built from them on prayer. They taught me how to pray. My mom taught me the Our Father. My dad taught me just always telling me I need to pray, always be close to God in prayer. Pray before I start driving. Whenever I would go with him in the car, he would always tell me like what he did, and he would do the sign of the cross and pray before he leaves that he had a safe trip. And so that was just like the fundamentals, I guess, for me, and it's what set the foundation for me with God. That's where I first found out about God. I started asking my mom some questions growing up, and she would answer them, teaching me little things here and there about God, but never what I know now. It was never what I know now. But I'm still very thankful and very grateful for what they did teach me, and for prayer being the foundation of my knowledge of God from the beginning. And so I grew up with a strong attraction to creation. I have been in love with creation since then, since I was little. And so I've admired the sky, the clouds, those big puffy clouds, like the ones that look like an explosion kind of, those are the best and have been the best clouds to me since I was little. Admiring birds and just all of creation, everything, 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 everything in the sky, all the animals, plants, trees, everything has just been, God has shown me the beauty in his creation since I was little. And so that was something that really grabbed my attention since being a little girl. Okay, yes, he is gone. Now I don't gotta stress about it. Yes, yes. Okay. Anyway, um, so yeah, those were the good things about my childhood and how I was introduced to God from the very start. Um, but as I don't know how old I was, but I know that I had to have been like maybe between 2 and 4 years old when I first started getting curious about my own body. And that's where that's where sexual perversion started taking over in my life. I believe it really started when my mom started. So when I got old enough to be able to take showers rather than baths, my mom would take me a shower with her. So that way, in her mind, I guess, I could see how to wash myself rather than her just telling me how to wash myself. And that way I learn by seeing how to wash myself, I think. Because I don't remember clearly, I just remember being in the shower with her, and that's where my attraction to the female body came into place. And that's just so sad and perverted because it was my own mom. But that is what happened. That's how I remember it. No fault at my mom. That's just how she taught me. My mom is a great mom. Has some faults of her own, as we all do. And so that entered, the attraction to female bodies came into my life, and then sexual perversion is where that entered. I started to be like a very nasty little girl. Okay, I was very nasty. I wanted to see things I wasn't supposed to, and the only way that I would be able to see things I wasn't supposed to would be from those who were around me. So that'd be my family. So, like, when my dad would get out the shower, there was a double door for the restroom. And so I would go run up to that double door when I would hear the shower turn off and look through the crack to try to see whatever I could see. And that's just so sad. But that's what I did when I was little. I only remember doing that once though, but I know that happened. Anyway, and then when I would see other family, that's where I was really trying to do physical things with family that were my age, and that's where incest really came into play. And so I would do things I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing because I know I was going to get in trouble, but I didn't know, like, the extent, the magnitude of what was wrong that I was doing. I just knew it was wrong and it was bad and I was going to get in trouble for it. I didn't know what I was doing other than that. And I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I had a sexual desire and I needed to try to satisfy it, but I didn't know how. So I just knew I needed another person. And I don't know how I knew that, but that's just like, I guess it was instinct maybe. And so then I started getting more curious about my own body, and that's where I discovered parts of myself, and that's where I believe masturbation got introduced into my life at a very young age. I was under 5 years old. I still wasn't I wasn't like doing that to the full extent of what like an adult would do it, but still the basis of it, that's the category it falls under. Um and then as I kept growing up, this problem just kept, I guess, getting worse. When I had friends, I would try to do things with friends and manipulate friends into doing things in a dark closet where no one could see us or hear us. I don't even know what I would say or how it would really happen. I just know I would get them alone in a room, or a closet, and try to do something, but I remember it was never successful. Um, but I still would try to manipulate and take advantage of other girls that were friends and or family friends and things like that. Um, and then I keep looking down because I have notes. I want to make sure I hit everything because I recorded this 2 times already. This is my third time, so I'm trying to make sure I don't miss nothing. So here we are. um, so that's still on. Okay, cool. Uh, then when I got to, I don't remember what age I was. I want to say maybe between 7 and 9 years old is when my friend, family friend, um, who was someone I did things I wasn't supposed to with, um, she had introduced me to pornography. I hope that doesn't get me taken down on here because I know people usually worry about that word, saying it on here. But this is for lessons only. Um, and so I was introduced to that, and that is where my addiction to that first started. The addiction happened, I don't think it happened quickly after that, but it definitely took off somewhere along the road after that. And so there was that, and that was not a good problem of mine. That was a problem. Okay, it was a bad problem. Um, and so that was okay. So I'm gonna jump back a little bit to when I was 5 years old. So when I was 5 years old, my parents got a divorce. Before that, they would argue. My mom and my dad would not get along very well. They were they weren't the worst when it came to fighting, but I just remember this one incident where my mom did call the cops on my dad, and he had to leave that night. And I think the next day he came back and got some stuff, and he was away for a while, I think. Um, and then I remember shortly after, I don't remember timeline accuracy, but what I remember is shortly after that. So I had to have been 5 years old at this time. That's when they got a divorce, and that was a very hard thing for me to handle. Like, I was constantly, since I knew how to pray, I believe that I actually was praying to God and like telling him, I want my family back together. Um, I want my parents back together. Please bring my parents back together. Um, I know for sure I was making wishes. So, like, when you wish on a star, or you make a wish at 11:11, or there's a fountain and you throw a penny in there and you make a wish. Or my mom taught me this thing where if an eyelash falls out, you blow it and make a wish. Things like that. My birthday candles, when I blew them out and you make a wish, I would wish that. So it was a very hard thing to know that my parents were separated and not together. It was a huge environmental change because the house that I was born in, and the neighborhood was a very good neighborhood. It was what I consider like a rich neighborhood. And then me, my mom, and my sister, we moved into an old house that they used to live in when my sister was growing up. And so that neighborhood was not the same. It was not like super poor, but and it wasn't like super like ghetto either. It wasn't the ghetto. But it wasn't what I was used to. The house itself was had a lot of demonic activity, and so that was something new to me that I did not experience, or I can't say I didn't experience it, but I didn't experience it to this extent in this house. So this new house, after they got a divorce, um, being an old house, I'm gonna refer to it as a two-story house because it was a two-story house. My first house was not a two-story house, so um, that's what I called it growing up, was the two-story house. And so it was very, very different. Everything about it was different, and so I didn't like it very much, especially since I was starting to and beginning to experience demonic activity, which was a big it was a big impact on me because um, I would see things and sense things that I wasn't seeing in the first house. So I would see shadows. We had a catwalk of the upstairs, and I would see a shadow from the side of my eye, a human figure, just a human figure, just standing, just staring at me. And I would look, and it would be gone, immediately gone. And that would happen all the time, all the time. And I wore a cross. It was a little cross. It was a cross that I had been wearing since I was a baby. And so I would always hold it. It was like my comfort. It was my comfort. I would hold on that necklace. I would chew on it, which was horrible because it was literally a cross. And it was a gold cross. It was good. It was a good gold cross. It literally was bent on the bottom part from where I would chew it. Horrible. But anyway, I would hold that, and then my mom would tell me that if I hold the cross, that they go away because they're scared of Jesus, something like that. Let me make sure I'm keeping up with my notes here. Let's see. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that. That one and that one. Okay. Yeah, we're on track. So all this demonic activity did not get any better. As I got a little bit older, I was maybe like 6 years old or so, or seven, between 5 and 7, between the ages of 5 and 7. I started getting these thoughts that were not normal, and I did not have these before. I was getting these thoughts of like someone telling me to do bad things to my mom, to make her mad, to hurt her, to disobey her, just all these bad things that I never had these thoughts before. And so I told my mom because I was literally being tormented in my mind, and I was tired of it. I was trying to fight these thoughts that I never had before. And so I let her know, and she got a little worried, but she made sure that I didn't notice how worried she was, because I mean, any kid that's coming up to you, your own kid coming up to you and telling you like, hey, I'm having thoughts of like hurting you and disobeying you and making you mad and stuff, is not good. Like, I would literally have a thought come in my head telling me to grab that knife and either cut her or stab her or something like that. And I did not like that because I knew that that was not right. I knew that that was wrong, and I didn't want to do that. And these thoughts would get so strong. Like, if I didn't do it, the thoughts would just like get stronger. Like, do it, do it, do it. And I'd literally have to like move away or just fight the thought And that, like, if you have, we all have, like, those kind of mental battles, you know how hard it is to fight the mental battle. That is hard. And as a little kid, that is hard. That is really hard. Um, it's not that I was like being forced to actually do it, but just fighting the thought alone was hard. Like getting the thought out of my head was extremely hard. And so my mom ended up taking me to a priest to our old church, which again is a Catholic church since we were Catholic. And I guess she wanted them to like perform an exorcism on me, I think. And they didn't do anything. They didn't help me at all. They basically sent us away, which is horrible because it's a church. Like they could have at least prayed for me or prayed over me or something, but no, they didn't do anything at all. And so then my mom ended up taking me to a counselor, and the counselor actually helped me. The counselor had me do this little like invisible type thing where they had a little chair in the corner, and they told me to just go tie up this, because okay, I'm skipping parts, I am so sorry, but the entity that was telling me to do these things was actually a little demon that made itself look like a little girl, and I perceived it at being that young as a imaginary friend that was just a not good imaginary friend. And so it was this little girl, or made to look like this little girl, took the image of a little girl that looked similar to me, but with like short black hair with bangs. Um, and my hair is brown, so she just looks similar to me. But the reason I am describing the look, I didn't see her physically, but when my mom asked me before taking me to all these places to get help, she had asked me, what does it look like? What does she look like? And I could only describe what I just said. And so then my mom ended up seeing that exact image, but of what she was wearing was like a little old-fashioned doll dress, um, like creepy. And so that like confirmed that I wasn't just making up that image in my head, unless, you know, demons play around and they take what you say and manifest in the physical. So yeah, um where was I? Okay, so I went to this counselor. She had me tie her up to this little chair and like tell her, you got to stay there because you was not coming home with me. We're not playing this game no more. So I did that, and I really like, my mind was like, this is so childish, this is so immature, like what is this gonna do? We over here playing imaginary games right here, like this is not gonna work. And so it was literally me and this counselor and my mom, and they was making me go do this, and I was like, okay. And so I pretended to tie her up to this chair, told her, you gotta stay here. And in my mind, like after saying it just to please them, in my mind, I was like, yeah, you got to stay here. If this is actually gonna work, you're staying here because you're not coming home with me. And I was just hoping so strong that this would work, that me telling her to stay here would actually work. And so I went, so we got in the car, and I asked my mom, like, what if this doesn't work? And she said, just trust and hope and I think pray. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said something along these lines. Just trust that it's going to work. Believe that it's going to work. So I did. And it worked. I didn't have these thoughts anymore for a really long time, until I think I was a preteen. But at that time, it will, I don't think, it wasn't the same when I was a preteen. It wasn't the same. I think it was just like an actual mental battle that I was fighting. It wasn't that she came back. And so let's not jump to preteen. Let's stay where we are. So that worked. Now at this time, I am in third grade, and this is where I first experienced being bullied, and being bullied in an abnormal way, I guess, um, opposed to how like movies show bullying. Like I wasn't getting beat up. Um, I was getting left out, rejected. Um, my secrets that I would tell my who I thought were my friends were being told to the entire classroom. And let me get some more detail on that. So the way that this bullying started, I had a group of friends. I had one best friend that was a girl. All of them were girls. And so one day at recess, they were all beginning to walk in a line forward because there was this big like grass area in between the swings and the playground. And so we were all walking that way, and they began to hold hands. And when I went to hold someone's hand, they didn't want to hold my hand. And so I thought that was weird automatically because we were all really good friends. So I didn't understand why they didn't want to hold my hand. So I moved somewhere else to hold someone else's hand. They didn't want to hold my hand. And by this time, there's already a whole line walking. I go from one side, try to hold their hand, to all the way to the other side, try to hold someone's hand. No one's holding my hand. So I'm left there standing, watching them walk away, holding hands together, wondering, so confused, why why did this just happen? Like, why does no one want to hold my hand? Why did they literally just leave me? And why is nobody, why is so many questions? So many questions, why? So many questions as to why. There were so many whys. And so I go and I sit down on the little like perimeter of the swings. And I'm just sitting there thinking and wondering all these whys. Hurt because I don't understand what just happened. And so this got worse. Um, every day it was really something different. It was another way of leaving me left out. It was another way of hurting me. And so the next time that I remember was we were in music class, and the teacher was asking for everybody to raise their hand to share something. I don't remember what the something was, but it was something not what they answered. So one of them out of the girl group rose their hand and shared a secret that I had told the main girl, so like the leader of that girl group, who was my best friend. I had told her a secret a while back before all this happened, and she had told one of the other girls, and that girl rose her hand and told it in front of the whole class. I don't remember what the secret was. I just know that I was so embarrassed in front of everyone, the whole class. And even the teacher was confused as to why she said that, because that wasn't what was supposed to be shared. And so that was another time. And it just, these kinds of things kept happening. Me getting left out was really the main one. The rejection was the main thing that was happening. And it was happening in the most saddest way. It wasn't just I don't even know how you would call it, like any kind of being left out normal. But yeah, that was a very tough time in my life. Every day I did not want to go to school. I would literally cry, come home crying every day because I didn't want to go back to school. I would cry in the mornings going to school. There was one morning where my sister was going to take me to school because my mom didn't want to deal with me not wanting to go to school. And I was bawling my eyes out in my sister's car when she took me to where she would drop me off. And I did not get out the car. I did not get out of the car. I was begging her to just take me home. Like, it was sad. It was sad. It was even sad to know that, like, they were just trying to make me go to school. They were trying to get me to go to school, but with how much I didn't want to go to school. It was just, it wasn't okay. So yeah, that was my first time experiencing getting bullied. But thankfully, after that year of third grade, we moved. We moved into a new neighborhood that was a much better neighborhood. It was a brand new neighborhood. Our house was literally being built. And so I didn't spend my fourth grade or fifth grade at that same school with those same girls. I was at a completely new school with all new people. And that's where I experienced more bullying in other ways, more rejection, um, more rejection from guys, like in bullying from guys, just being made fun of and stuff. And it wasn't in a way, I don't believe it to have been in a way where, like, a guy likes you, but he's trying to, his way of showing it is by messing with you, making fun of you. It was, it was actually like them making fun of me. And so not in that kind of like flirtatious way. And let me see what else. So just girl drama just really like followed me all these years. And I just didn't understand because I had considered myself a very caring, very loving type of friend. I was the type to where, like, I think in like second grade, I think, unless it was also third grade, because I had nothing better to do since my friends were not being my friends. Um, I remember like going up to this group of kids that were literally arguing. There was this group and this group, and they were arguing. And I just wanted to help them. I just wanted to help them resolve the issue. I didn't like seeing them not get along. And I feel like that stemmed from like the divorce and everything. I didn't like how my parents got a divorce. I didn't like when they would fight. And I couldn't tell them to get along. Them being my parents, I can't tell them what to do. And so I felt like, well, this is on my level. I can try to help here. But I got rejected very quickly. They told me basically, like, get out of here. You don't belong here. You're not in this situation or this problem. You're not involved in this. And which is true. But I literally just wanted to help. Like, I wasn't going over there trying to just be nosy. I wanted to know what was going on so I could help. My intention was only to help. So rejection followed me, and I think that's where depression entered my life, to be honest, because of all of the rejection and the bullying. I believe that's could be where depression and anxiety may have entered. And so then going into middle school, all of my life I had always like liked guys, but they didn't like me. So all throughout elementary school I always liked guys, but they didn't like me. And so through middle school is when I really, since you're starting to mature and stuff and become a teenager, I really took advantage of my appearance. um, I wanted to be attractive. I wanted attention. I wasn't getting a male's attention as like from my dad. I wasn't getting that love from my dad. And so I was seeking attention and validation through guys, also because I wasn't getting liked in elementary school. And all my friends or girls that I knew in school, elementary school, they had guys who liked them, they had boyfriends or whatever, but I just never had anybody like me. And so that had a strong hold on me growing up and for a long time. And so again, I took advantage of seeking attention with through my appearance, by my appearance, um, and then getting on like Facebook. I would talk to guys I shouldn't have been talking to. um, just any way that I could get attention, I was seeking attention. Um, Without like being loud or anything in school, I wasn't that type of girl. I was very introverted, very to myself, to my friends. There were times where I would be loud for attention, but it was never to where like I'm getting in trouble in school because I want that much attention. No, I was a very good girl in school, without getting in trouble with like teachers and stuff. I think there was one time something happened, but I really don't remember what happened. I just remember being in the principal's office for a whole dramatic issue. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think what else. So then I had my first relationship when I was 13 years old. Yeah, I believe I was 13 years old. And I made, since I finally had a relationship, I finally had someone who liked me, loved me, I made the relationship and who I was with an idol. I would idolize them. I would make them my whole life. My whole life surrounded around them. And all I wanted to do was be around them. All I wanted to do was think about them and think about lovey-dovey things and just those, all of that. That's all my mind was on. I found my worth in my relationship. I found my worth in um, being attractive, in attracting guys, in getting attention, in compliments. I just was seeking compliments, seeking praises, seeking things that do not fill you. And so then I got into another relationship later on, and that relationship introduced me to weed. And I was, I think, still 13 years old or 14 years old. I think I was 14 years old. And so, oh my gosh, my legs hurt. And so, make sure that's right. And so, I got introduced to that, and it didn't really do anything. Like, I didn't get high. I don't think I was smoking it right. But it still was introduced in my life. I enjoyed the smell of it, I enjoyed the taste of it. And so then after that relationship, I didn't have access to it anymore. And I was still doing the same thing, seeking attention from other guys, talking to who I could talk to. I had eventually decided, hold on, let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. No, I think I'm good. I had eventually decided after that last relationship, so my second serious relationship, being 14 years old, I eventually decided, let me stop. But I had decided this when I was 16. I had like just turned 16. And I had been hurt by other guys in shorter relationships. I was hurt by like one other guy when I was 16. And that was a very short relationship. It was like a week. And I was tired of being hurt. I was tired of not getting the love that I was looking for. And so I decided, gosh, can I get to my point? And so I decided that I don't want to be in relationships no more. I just want to play around. I just want to talk to a bunch of guys. I mean, it wasn't really anything that new. It's just the difference was I was seeking attention for relationships. I was seeking a relationship before, and then now, since being hurt so much, I was just seeking attention. I didn't want a relationship. I just wanted attention. And whoever would give me that attention, I was going to be happy. That's how I felt. And that's basically the decision I made in my heart. And when I made that decision, God quickly was like, no, ma'am, we're not doing that. That's not for you. And so on my Facebook, I had gotten a friend request from a guy that I did not know. And it didn't interest me at first because at that exact time, I wasn't, I was, okay, I was 50-50. I didn't want to talk to guys, but I also did want to talk to guys. I was fed up, but also still wanted attention and still wanted to talk to people, guys. And so, um, I was just trying like not to engage in it, not engage in it, entertain it. And so I didn't accept the friend request, but I kept seeing the friend request in my friend requests. And after maybe a week of seeing, maybe a week or two of seeing the friend request, I was like, okay, let me just see who this guy is. Maybe I know him. And so I had went and uh, accepted the friend request, and then I messaged him and asked him, hey, do I know you? And he was like, no, I just thought you were pretty. And I got the attention I wanted. But at the same time, I don't think anyone had ever like said that to me that way. Maybe they had, I don't know. Um, just something about how he said it just captivated me. And that's when I started talking to him. And now, from that message on, he's now my husband. Um, and so uh, that's when I met my husband. We started talking, and I was I wasn't fully serious because I had made that decision to not get in a relationship. So I wasn't in a relationship with him yet. I was trying to take things super slow, which is something I was not used to doing. I had never done that before. And I was trying to take things super slow and trying to avoid getting in a relationship with him. But he was after me. Like he wanted to be in a relationship with me. And I was just so iffy about it. Like I still wanted to talk to other guys, and I think I was talking to other guys still, but I wasn't talking to them as seriously as I was talking to him. I was definitely talking to him a lot more, giving him more of my time, giving him more of me than I was anyone else. And this was before we got into a relationship. Um, and then we ended up actually committing and getting into a relationship. So we started talking in July of 2013. It's the summer of 2013 in July. And then we made it official in August. We literally like set a date. Like I wanted our date to be on the number 7. So we made it on the number 7. That's when we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. And that's when everything started. Everything took off for him and I. And so throughout that was I was now we were both sophomores, but we were going to two separate schools. And I wanted us to go to school together so badly because I thought it was so important. I wanted that like movie relationship. I wanted people to see us together. I wanted girls to be jealous of me. I wanted attention. I wanted guys to know like I can get a guy and a guy can love me. Like I wanted people to know. I felt like my validation was going to come that, from that type of other people knowing this. And other people probably could give less of a care about what was going on with me. um, I had a group of friends who I considered at the time to be good friends, but then I started giving more of my time to my boyfriend, and then classes started changing and stuff, and so friends started to fall off and fall away. And my friends at the time, like, I had no classes with them anymore at all. I ended up only having like a lunch period with them. And then the lunch period went away, and I didn't have anything with any of my friends. And we didn't keep up with texting. We didn't keep up with anything. And I held them to like, I held them to like, I felt like they needed to reach out to me as opposed to me reaching out to them because of, I guess because of all the problems I had with friends. I felt like the ball was in their court. If they wanted to be my friend, they needed to make an effort to be my friend. And so that didn't happen. So I didn't like it, of course. And so from second semester of sophomore year all the way throughout senior year, I really didn't have solid friends. I would make some friends that were in younger grades than me, lower grades than me, in certain classes, but that would be my only friends. And then I had them for lunch periods, but we didn't text each other or anything like that. It wasn't close friendships like that. It was just we were only friends in that class. And so I considered myself to not have friends. And then in senior year is when the second semester of senior year is when me and my boyfriend at the time started having our first problems, like serious problems. I noticed that he was very different. He was extremely distant from me. He wanted nothing to do with me. It was like one day he was so in love with me and we were so in love with each other. And the next day he wanted nothing to do with me. That's like how it happened. That's how it seemed like it happened. It was very like a super instant change. And I was like taken back by it because I was like, what is going on here? This is not you. This is not even something that's possible to happen. This is not like this is not at all a possibility. I don't know how to word this. It was not at all something that was possible to be happening from his end to want nothing to do with me. I hope that makes sense. And so I was obviously very hurt by that. And so at this time, I had found out. I had found out that, okay, no, I had an idea. So I had had knowledge of what witchcraft was, black magic. I had knowledge of what it was. And so, prior knowledge of what it was. And so, when he started acting like this, I started thinking, like, could someone have put something on him? And I had reason to believe that. And so, I just kept thinking about it, like in the back of my head, thinking if this could be that, if this could be that, could this be that? And then I don't want to say who, but I ended up finding out that confirmation that it was that my, okay, this part I'm gonna have to tell you who because that's a big part of my testimony. I had ended up finding out that my own dad had put that, or his wife at the time, who was his first cousin, because after my parents got divorced, maybe like a year later, he ended up marrying his first cousin, literally first cousin. And that was never something that was okay with me. It was definitely not okay with my mom because like she was the only one to tell me like that's wrong, like you don't do that. And so I found out that his cousin wife had put that on us. Not only on us, but on my mom first, and then on me and him, or on him and I, whatever, to separate us. Why? I don't know. The only thing I can assume is that my dad didn't want me with him. And so I found that out, and I ended up, we weren't really talking. We were kind of like off and on a break ish. And so I ended up texting his cousin, like asking for help, like asking him to talk to him. and that like we need to go to church and stuff like this, because this needs to stop, because this isn't natural. This isn't just him not being interested in me anymore. This is like something's keeping us apart, and that's not okay. And so he ended up talking to him. His cousin ended up talking him into us going to church. And I even prayed. I prayed my butt off. I prayed my butt off. About if like this is where I really gave God my everything, because this boyfriend, he introduced me to Christianity. He introduced me to Jesus. He introduced me to a relationship with Jesus. And that's what really captivated me and made me fall even deeper in love with him, because he showed me who real love is. Who real love is, not what real love is. I mean, he showed me what real love is too, in different ways. Of course, we weren't perfect, but he showed me where love comes from, who love comes from. And so that's what kept me pursuing him, because he showed me something that no one else has showed me. He showed me what really matters. And was also teaching me good morals and things that I did not know before. And so that's where like going to church and stuff came into play. And that's where me like begging God, like I was pleading with God in my bed, laying down, crying my eyes out, begging God, like, God, if you please just save my relationship, I will give you all of me. I will pray every day and I will go to church every day. Just please don't let me lose him. And I'm pretty sure I said that word for word. And so I prayed that from the most vulnerable part in me, from such a vulnerable state. And God answered. He opened the door for us to go to church. We got delivered at his family's church. So it was his family's church. We got delivered from it. It was confirmed that it was witchcraft, and it was put on me as well. I had a charm bracelet that my mom had gifted me for graduation. And so somehow my dad or his cousin wife, whatever, well, he was involved in it as well. It wasn't just her. They somehow got a hold of it or something, which is weird because I had no connection to him. Like, growing up since the divorce, I did not have a close relationship with my dad. I did not have a good relationship with my dad. I was not close to him at all. I would visit him every now and then, but I would not visit him often. And so, how in the world he was able to put something on a charm bracelet that he had not even seen, from what I remember, I have no idea. And so I had to take that bracelet off, and I took off all my jewelry as well and threw it all away. Literally threw away a bunch of jewelry, good jewelry, a lot of jewelry worth a lot of money. And so that got thrown away. It wasn't a lot, but it was like all the rings on that I had on, and the charm bracelet. And so it was confirmed that it was done by my dad and his cousin wife, which was crazy to me because it was literally confirmed in a church. And I was going to say something next and I forgot. Oh, and so they completely took it all off of us. We will never, thank the Lord and praise God Almighty, we will never have that put on us again. It cannot come back. It cannot be put on us again. Thank God. And that is literally proof. The proof of that is that we're married now. And so thank God. Thank God. Thank the Lord. And so we still had like some issues here and there. there was there were still issues. Like any relationship has problems, but we were back to being in love with each other. um Things were still rough. Like it wasn't just like boom, he's super in love with me right away, but there was definitely a change in the right direction. And um at this time, as a teenager, I was not getting along with my mom well at all. I wasn't a very good daughter to her. I did not help her as a teenager a lot because I was just very selfish. I was seeking attention and seeking my boyfriend over anything and anyone else. And at this time, I was also realizing like all the wrong things that she did do as a mom. Um, and so I was just focused on the wrong and not focused on what she did that was good. And so I was disrespectful. I was not helping her around the house. I would come home from school and just sleep or stay on my phone or do my own things. She would ask me to do the dishes, I didn't do them. She would ask me to do different things around the house and I didn't want to do them, and if I did do them, I'm pretty sure I was probably doing them halfway. And so um we would have a lot of fights. My mom called the police on me 3 times. 3 times. One of the times, I think only one time made sense, but the very first time she called the police on me was literally for no reason. So the first time she called the police on me, um, it was just for the police to like teach me how to be respectful and stuff. I remember it was actually like for no reason. Like, yes, I could have been more respectful, but the police officer was not helping the situation at all. He would ask me questions and wouldn't let me answer the questions. Um, and that situation just didn't help the situation, didn't help the problem. She called the police on me another time. I don't remember for what. I think the second time she called the police on me was because we got into a physical altercation, because me not having a good experience in elementary school, I was throwing away all of my yearbooks. I didn't want the memories from my childhood. Um, and so I was throwing away all my yearbooks. My mom was not letting me throw away the yearbooks. She literally was like keeping me from throwing them away. And I had so much anger from my childhood, and then from her not allowing me to choose the things and memories I wanted to delete. She wanted me to have these memories, and I did not want these memories. And she was not understanding me, and I wasn't understanding her. But either way, I didn't want the memories. And so um, it ended up happening that she was facing away from me, so her back was to me, and I ended up chunking, throwing one of these yearbooks at her back. And I regret that, but you live and you learn. These are lessons that you learn from. She was okay. Nothing bad happened to her, thank God. I think that was the second time she called the police on me. I think. Um, Nothing happened. I didn't get taken away or anything. I don't remember what happened. But then the last time she called the police on me was, oh, I think, okay, so I think the second time she called, what ended up happening was, I think my dad came to get me and I slept over at his house. Um, then the second time, and that's where I was contemplating on if I should move in with my dad. And then when I think I brought up that conversation with him, he um, basically told me in a nicer way. Basically, he told me no, because him and his cousin wife enjoyed their privacy and they're so used to it and stuff like that, that they really don't want someone else living with them. Um, which was annoying, but I also felt like that was God's protection because of what they did to me. I didn't need to be living there, and that's main reason why I didn't want to live with them. But I also was not getting along with my mom, so I didn't have like very many options. My option I wanted was to move in with my boyfriend, but his dad was not allowing that at the time. So I was stuck trying to figure it out. So the last time that my mom called the police on me, this was after graduation. And I had a job at this time. And so this was actually when, in the middle, no, this was, I, I can't remember if we had already gotten delivered from the witchcraft or if this was right before that. But I know that my boyfriend at the time, this was when we were still in like a rough spot. And so I had to go to work that day, but he wanted to see me. And I was risking giving anything up just to see him to save our relationship. And so I called into work and I lied. Um, I don't remember what I said, but I think I said that I have to go to Corpus to see a family member who is sick or something like that. And keep in mind, I don't like lying, but I was just trying to see my boyfriend. And so I called in with that lie, and then so my sister's fiance had found out because I don't know how he found out, but I think he found out because he had gotten me my first job and it was at a gym at the kids club. And so he goes to that gym. And so I think he found out because he went in there asking about me, and then they said that I just called in because of that. And so then he called my mom and told my mom, and then my mom went off on me because I was lying and because I wasn't going into work when I should have been going into work because I had no reason not to go into work. And I was telling her, like, my boyfriend wants to see me, like, let me go see him. Like, things are not easy with us right now, not good with us right now. Like, I just want to see him. And she was not having it. She blew it. She actually did blow that out of proportion, made it a bigger problem than what it was. And so she ended up calling the police on me because I didn't go into work. And I had already like told my job that I would go in. Like, she told me, tell them right now that you're gonna go in. And I was like, okay. So I told them I was gonna go in to work. And then she called the police on me. And then I had to tell my job I can't come into work anymore again because now my mom's calling the police on me. Like, I'm so sorry. And so then the police came and I lost my job. And the police were like telling me, and my boyfriend had came because I told him, like, I can't do this anymore. And so the police came, and the police told me, like, you gotta move out, like, you gotta leave, like, this is us telling you, like, you can't live with your mom anymore, basically. Like, they understood from being called to my house, this being the third time, that I needed to move out already. Like, things aren't going to get any better, and they don't want anything worse to happen since this is the third time. And so I moved out, and we secretly moved me into my boyfriend's house. So his dad did not know. We didn't ask, we didn't tell him, we didn't do nothing. We just moved me in. He is a truck driver, so his dad is a truck driver, so he wasn't home often. And so it was easy for me to just sneak and move in. And that's how I ended up living here with my husband, boyfriend at the time. Now he's my husband. So yeah, here we are. Things after that. So I got another job. I got a job at Kroger, working in the deli department. At this time, I was focused on getting right with God. I was focused on keeping basically like my promise, because I told God that if he saved my relationship, that I promised I would pray to him every day and that I would go to church every day. So I was working on keeping that promise. I did pray every day, all the way until now. Um, I believe so. And if I'm wrong, God forgive me. But from what I remember, I did pray every day. Going to church, we did go to his family's church for a while, but we ended up stopping going to that church because they were very, or they are very strict evangelists, evangelical. And so anytime we would miss church, they would ask us, like, where were we? Why didn't we go to church? Why didn't we tell them, or something like that? Just very controlling and getting in our business in ways that they did not need to. It was unnecessary and it wasn't biblical, and making us feel bad for when we did not go to church. And so we stopped going there, for that reason, particularly, mainly. Um, I was still working on my relationship with God. I was still working on getting closer to Him. But then I got I got reintroduced to weed. Um, and he got introduced to weed for the first time when we were going through that, like, break-ish situation. And he was very against it before, and so I was mad that he was doing that, especially doing that without me, because I had, like, been trying to, like, talk him into doing it for a while, and so then him doing it without me made me mad. But now we were doing it together, and this is where my addiction to weed came into play. So I was working on my relationship with God. I was working on getting closer to Him. I was working on knowing Him better. I even got my doctor at the time had given me a Bible, and that was my very first Bible. And so I started reading that, and I started from the beginning in Genesis. I didn't understand what I was reading. The Bible was King James Version. I didn't know what I was reading, and I would ask God, like, help me understand what I'm reading, because I don't know what I'm reading, and I want to know, I want to understand it. And I wasn't getting it. That prayer, He was not answering at that time. So I stopped reading my physical Bible. I stuck with praying. I stuck with just staying as close to Him as possible, while also, like, being a little into like, astrology. Growing up, like, my mom was very into astrology, palm readings, so witchcraft in a sense. I just didn't consider that witchcraft, because from what I knew of witchcraft, it was more serious than just palm readings and astrology and your zodiac sign and stuff like that. But growing up, your zodiac sign and astrology was something my mom taught us, like, a lot. And because she had so much knowledge of it, because she learned about it. And so I was also into that while I was trying to get close to God. And I was starting to get into angel numbers, and anytime, because I kept seeing, like, consistent 3 numbers, and then it would be 4 numbers, so it would be like 1222 or 1234, so 1 2 3 4. I would be seeing these numbers. I saw these numbers consistently, like, daily and weekly, for like, a year or over a year. And I was like, at some point, I was like, I need to look this up. I need to see what this is about. And I found out they were angel numbers, so I started relying on angel numbers and thought that it was God speaking to me. And I would just be more in tune with, like, nature and admiring nature and things like that. Looking up the symbolism of, like, animals and stuff, which it isn't necessarily wrong, but it's not completely biblical at the same time. Because if you're relying on, like, your surroundings to be teaching you or bringing you closer to God, that's not exactly biblical. So I wasn't completely in the right path walking with God. but I thought I was, and I was doing my best. And then I found the Bible app. I discovered the Bible app, and so I downloaded that, started reading the Bible again from the beginning, from Genesis, and I was able to understand it better. I don't know the time difference, years apart or whatever. I just know that I was reading it and I was understanding it better. And so uh, I was growing closer to God. I was reading a daily devotional every morning from the Bible app, or every day at least. And I was still praying every day. And God was delivering me in layers. I had to unlearn like everything. I was unlearning so much and then learning new things that God was teaching me, through relationship with Him, through constant prayer, through reading the Bible, through coming across reading the right things at the right times on social media. And since high school, since I didn't have like friends like that in high school, all the way after graduation, I still had no friends. I didn't go anywhere. I was completely a homebody. I'm even still a homebody and still an introvert. um, I just did not get out there and make friends like that. Not even at work did I make friends. Um, and I was just very lonely. I was very lonely because out of me and my boyfriend at the time, I was the only one who was truly pursuing God. Like, we would smoke a lot, but I would still pursue God. Like, I would smoke and pray and think that the weed was helping me get closer to God. Um, I know that I would rely on the weed to make me a better person, to help me with my anger, and help me with getting frustrated, and help me with to not take my anger out on him. Like, if we got into a fight or whatever, like, we would smoke, or if my mom would make me mad, or his dad, or whatever, we would smoke, and it would just take our anger away. And so we would rely on that. I would rely on it so that way I would not be angry. I would rely on it so I could be a better person. I would rely on it to help me grow closer to God and hear Him better. But it was not fulfilling me. It was becoming a huge addiction of mine. And I was denying it at all costs because, like, so many people around me were like telling me, like, you can't get addicted to weed. Like, it's not a drug like that. um it's not possible to get addicted to it because you can stop whenever you want. It's not like a serious drug. And like, my sister, she smoked a lot, and she even tried to, many times when I was a teenager, preteen, she tried, teenager and preteen, teen and teenager, she would try to convince me to smoke, and I didn't want to. This was before, no, I think it was only when I was a teenager, actually, not a preteen, my bad. um so when me and him first got together, she would try to convince me to do it, but he was very against it, and I didn't want to do anything to make him mad. So I would tell her, no, like, I'm not going to do that. And she would just try to convince me and like peer pressure me into doing it, and I didn't want to do it. Low key, I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to make him mad. And so, and even when I didn't want to do it, I think, like, I would still tell her no. uh and so, like, she would be that influence in my life that would like tell me, like, you can't get addicted to it, it's not something you can be addicted to. But now that where I now seeing at the age that I'm at, and everything I've been through, um it's definitely something that is able to be addicted to, no matter what anybody tells you, because weed is so easy for you to rely on and depend on, because it's something that you put above everything else when you're spending money. So, like, you're gonna, I don't know how to explain this. So if you're addicted to it, one good way for me to put this. If you're addicted to it, you'll know if you're making sure that out of everything else, you know you got your weed. As long as you got your weed, you're okay. You may not have enough money for gas or enough money for things that you actually need or things that you actually want, but as long as you got your weed, you're good. That's a one good way to tell if you're actually addicted. And so it was an addiction. I relied on it too much. I relied on it over me relying on God. I leaned on it like how I should have been leaning on God. I went to weed before I went to God. And that's where it became, or that's where it was a problem. Regardless, it's a problem because it's a, oh, I always forget this word. It's a counterfeit. It is not something that God created for you to rely on or lean on. It is something that the devil uses as a counterfeit to keep you thinking you're good and you're okay and you're going to be all right. All you need is this weed and you'll be okay. It also, like, even if it's something that you're just using to relax and calm down sometimes, occasionally, something to you do to celebrate or whatever, that's you opening a door to the spiritual realm in an illegal way, because we don't have access to the spiritual realm through substances. That's an illegal access to the spiritual realm. Like, the power and impact that weed has on you when you are smoking it, it really, like, you got to have your eyes open to see it, because I was so in denial for so long, until I got so tired that I ended up, me growing so much closer to God. He revealed it to me through conviction. Like, he started having me think, like, maybe this isn't good for you. Maybe this is not something you should be doing. And so when I would think those things, I would ask him while smoking. I would ask him, if this if this is something that you don't want me to be doing, show it to me and help me to stop. If you don't want this for me, help me to stop. Take it away from me. Take the desire away from me. Take the craving for it away from me. Take all of it away from me. Don't let me have access to it anymore. Stop my boyfriend from smoking it as well, because if he's still smoking it, I'm gonna want to still smoke it. We live together, so if I smell it on him, I'm gonna want to do it. If I know he's going to do it, I'm gonna want to do it. So Lord, please take this from us. That's how I would pray, because I did not want to be doing anything that was going to be separating me from God. I did not want to be doing something that he didn't want me to be doing. I didn't want to be doing something that he did not give me to do. And so if it wasn't from God, if it wasn't of his, I didn't want any part in it. I just wanted to know God more and deeper and closer. And so those are the kinds of prayers that I was praying, and God eventually did it. It wasn't an overnight deliverance from weed. It was a while. I think it was like a year. I think it was a year. I want to say it was a year from when I started praying to when we finally got delivered from it. And so yeah, I had to learn to lean on Jesus, and he kept delivering me in layers and layers and layers. I was unlearning so much and learning so much in replacement of those counterfeits and lies from the devil. Before stopping smoking weed, I had worked on stopping watching pornography. Hopefully this doesn't get messed up from that, in Jesus' name. I had worked on stopping watching that because I was definitely addicted to watching that. I would find satisfaction and pleasure, of course, in watching that, and then following up with masturbation. And so that was also something I would lean on for satisfaction and, of course, pleasure. And so God would reveal to me he revealed to me first that those things they needed to go. And so once I overcame that, I did backslide at one point. I was doing so good. I did not watch anything and I didn't do anything to myself for a long time. I want to say 3 months, but I don't know the exact time. I'm so bad with time if you can't tell. What's it called? I want to say I was doing good for 3 months and then I backslid. I had a very vulnerable moment. I fell into temptation and messed up. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad because I knew I was doing so good and I just ruined it all. God helped me. His grace and mercy covered me abundantly. He forgave me. I repented. And after that, I don't know how long later is when he started revealing to me, that I needed to stop smoking. And smoking was so draining. It literally made me so slumped. It made me so not the same person. My mind was not functioning the same way. Like, I could not smoke and go to work. I could not smoke and focus on something. If I smoked, I needed to be in my bed or on a couch, laying down or sitting down, literally straight chilling. Because if I wasn't doing that, I didn't need to be smoking. Smoking was literally what I did to relax, to calm me down, to go to sleep, if anything. It was not something I did to help me focus or anything. It was so I could calm down from being mad or to relax from a stressful day. That is not to encourage you to do it, because I literally just said, like, it's a crutch, it's a counterfeit. It's not something God wants you to be doing. And it took a long time for God to show me that. Like, I was so in denial and convinced that, like, this is fine. It's okay to be smoking. Like, it's from the earth. God wouldn't have given us this plant from the ground, that he literally planted in this earth, if we couldn't use it. But the thing is that he gives us things from the earth, but that doesn't mean you go and take advantage of everything he's given you by smoking it. Smoking it is not the initial thought that you think when you see something, if that makes sense. Smoking would be the thing that you do to take advantage of something. That is nature. So that's pretty much it, I think. It has been a year and a half, I think, since stopping smoking, and I am so glad that I am free from that, because that was such a hard one to overcome. It was a hard thing to overcome. The other two, watching things I'm not supposed to and doing things I'm not supposed to myself, that one was a hard one to overcome. But smoking was even harder to overcome, because I really leaned on that. I really relied on that. And nothing that you put above God is ever good. I made it an idol. I made it something that it's not supposed to be. That doesn't mean for you to go be like, oh, well, I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm going to keep smoking, but I'm not going to do what she did. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's really not that easy. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Just ask God. All I can tell you is just ask God and let him actually move in your heart. Let him actually answer you. And when he tells you what you don't want to hear, ask him to help you obey. Because it's not easy to obey. It's not easy to obey him. It's not easy to hear something from God that you don't want to hear. But it's literally like that picture of the little girl holding her bear that she don't want to give up, and Jesus right across from her trying to take the bear because he has something behind his back that's better than the bear, or it's a bigger bear. So he's asking for her little bear that she doesn't want to give up, so he can take that bear and give her the bigger one. It's literally just like that. I had to give it up. I had to give up weed, which was my little bear, so that way he could give me something greater. And that was true rest and true freedom in him. When I began to rely on him and go to him instead of weed, go to his presence, seek his presence instead of weed, it's so much better. It's the truth. It's the true thing you're missing. It's his presence. It's seeking his face. It's spending time with him. We're so conditioned to think that spending time with God is boring. Reading the Bible is so boring. Um, Glorifying him and worshiping him and listening to worship music is so boring. That's such a lie. That's what the devil wants you to think. He wants you to think that it's boring. He wants you to think that it's not going to satisfy you, because what this other thing that you've been doing is going to satisfy you more than that. It takes a lot of unlearning and relearning. It takes a lot of surrender. I had to do a lot of surrender to get to where I am today. I learned about surrender maybe 2-3 years ago. And when I started practicing surrendering to God, that's when things started getting even better. And I think that's when, I believe that is when God started convicting me about weed. So surrender is definitely the key to spark your relationship with God. But I believe I touched on everything. But just to recap, so as a very, very little girl, I dealt with that's where sexual perversion and incest and just sexual desire entered my life. I struggled with that going into being a teenager. Parents got divorced. That caused a lot of anger to dwell up in me. And I took that out on my mom later on. Also, being bullied and stuff played a huge part in anger and rejection and depression. Like, being a teenager, I would love listening to sad songs when I was sad, because it would make me so much more sadder, because the songs would say exactly what I'm feeling that I can't express myself. And then going from dealing with all that anger and hurt and having my own parent put witchcraft on me was a huge impact in a negative way that definitely affected my relationship with him. And then from there, going to giving everything to God so that way he could save my relationship, to completely growing with God after that. So after graduation, from when I was 18 years old to now, I'm 27 years old, I have been growing with God faithfully since I was 18 years old. And that's a long time. That's a long time. It takes time. So don't think that it's an overnight process to where you're just gonna tell God, God, I'm here. I surrender and I give you everything. And then expect the next day for you to be just completely like, okay. That doesn't happen that way for everybody. It took me a while to get to where I am now, and I still have a long way to go. I still have a bit of anger to still overcome. I still have other things I need to overcome. I don't do the other things, of course, the 3 things I mentioned anymore. Thank God. Because once you overcome those kinds of things, like drinking and smoking and watching things you're not supposed to and taking advantage of your own self by doing things you're not supposed to, once you overcome those things, you're in a good spot, but you're not at the finish line yet. And it's never in our own strength. I did not do any of that in my own strength. There were plenty of times where I tried to stop smoking in my own strength, and it was not getting me anywhere. I literally got nowhere. I had to rely on God and keep asking Him, take away the desire, take away the cravings, take away everything from me that's causing me to want to do this. It's all about leaning on God. It's all about relying on God. So don't get discouraged if you're not where you feel like you need to be. It takes time, and God works in all of us in His own perfect timing. So trust Him, rely on Him, and don't give up. Don't give up. Because if God got me from where I was to where I am now, imagine where He can have you if you just wait on Him and trust in Him, rely on Him. If I could tell you who God is to me, Jesus is my everything. He is my heavenly Father. He is my way maker. He is my provider. He is my shelter. He is my safety, my safe place, my protector, my deliverer, my sanctifier, my anointer. He is everything. I cannot live without Him. Thinking of life without Him is so scary. If I never met Him, I don't know where I would be today, but I'm pretty sure I would not be in a good space. I don't know what I could be doing, what I would be doing, but I could have possibly ended up doing more drugs than just weed. I could have possibly gotten addicted to alcohol in some kind of way. I don't know where I would be without God. But I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful I am not without Him. And I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful that I met Him when I met Him. I'm so thankful to my boyfriend, who is now my husband, for introducing me to Him, because that is hard to come by. So I hope and I pray that this helped you, that this served you well. I hope you made it to the end. And if you did, please go ahead. If you liked it, go ahead and click the like button, and share with anybody that you feel you need to share it with. Pray on if you should send it to a specific person. Ask God who you should send it to, if anyone. And go ahead and subscribe, because this YouTube channel is not only going to consist of me talking on here, but it's also going to consist of my art. I am an artist, and that is what I plan on sharing on here, mostly making art videos, painting videos. I will be talking on here more too, but I wanted to start off this channel with my testimony, so you have a good idea of who I was and who I am now. And also just to obey God and serve Him and listen to Him, because this was a testimony that I know He's been asking me to share for a while, and I have been negligent in obeying Him when He told me to do it. But I do believe that this happened when it needed to happen and on time, because I wasn't able to record this with good audio before, and I did get this recently, so that way I could record this with better audio. So again, I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope this served you well. I pray that God works in your life and helps you to know Him better. I pray that Jesus draws your heart to His heart, and reveals Himself to you and encounters you in a powerful way. Thank you again, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.